Hello, and welcome back to the Publisher Podcast from Media Voices. I'm Peter Houston, and this season we are bringing you the best sessions from the Definitive AI Forum for Media, Information and Events, which we held with Flashes and Flames in London at the end of last year. Each episode is accompanied by a write-up of the key takeaways, which you can find on our site voices.media or get delivered straight to your inbox every Tuesday by subscribing to the Publisher newsletter, which is also linked from voices.media. Before we get to this week's interview, I just wanted to let you know that we'll be running a series of AI-focused masterclasses online. These are the masterclasses we first hosted in person at our AI event in November. They're all focused on how to get the best from AI in your publishing business, from measuring ROI to optimizing engagement and content discovery. They'll run every Wednesday, and you can book now at voices.media/masterclasses using the discount code MV25 to save 25% on the $49.99 ticket price. Now back to this week's episode, which features Mumsnet CEO Sue Macmillan speaking about how the 25-year-old parenting forum is harnessing AI to power stronger pitches, deliver more actionable insights to brand partners, and tighten internal management procedures. Sue told me about making her own custom GPTs and how she feels that for managers to understand AI, they have to use it themselves, and how we need to see AI more as an electric bike than as a self-driving car. Sue began by explaining to me why Mumsnet, with 1.5 million words posted every day, is the perfect publisher use case for AI.
So this is Sue Macmillan. She's the chief exec of Mumsnet. And I have to be honest, I didn't have Mumsnet and AI on my bingo card for 2025.
Why?
Well, I don't know. That's what we're going to find out, I guess. But we spoke before this. I was completely surprised that Mumsnet is 25 years old. That made me feel old. Doesn't take much these days, but that definitely did. But also the volume of content that is going through there is nuts. So quickly, for anyone that doesn't know Mumsnet, and if you don't know Mumsnet, where the hell have you been? But for anyone who doesn't know Mumsnet, what is Mumsnet?
Okay. I'm assuming most people have heard of Mumsnet in some way. Yeah, most people are nodding, which is nice. Yeah, we've been around 25 years, founded by Justine, who's here today in the year 2000. And it is a platform for parents online, but it is a place where people are discussing everything and anything. We have around about 1.5 million words posted on Mumsnet every day. So I think Tom earlier referred to the Bible being produced on TalkSport every day. We have 10 of them every day on Mumsnet. 6.5 billion words across our history. So when you say you weren't expecting AI and Mumsnet, I think when you see it from that point of view, we were already, we employed our first data scientist about 9 years ago now, who actually came to us and said, by the way, if you looked at what's been posted in Mumsnet in the run-up to Brexit, you could have predicted Brexit was going to happen. We said, you've got the job, come and join us. But we've been in data for a while, and I think we were already knowing that there were tons of insights, because people are not just talking about parenting, they're talking about brands, they're talking about products, politicians, we'll all be aware of, organizations. We knew there was unbelievable data and insights in there. And I think what Gen AI did was just turbocharged our efforts to turn that into something that could be really useful and actionable.
Yeah. So I've described this Mumsnet story as a data analytics story. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think primarily that's what we're thinking. John from the FT was talking about D2B, and that's definitely the space we are moving into. We built Mums GPT, we called it. About 6 months after ChatGPT was launched, we had the sort of first POC of Mums GPT, which takes all of the discussion on Mumsnet and is a chatbot which allows people to say, right, what do Mumsnet users think about Keir Starmer? What do they think about Sainsbury's? What do they think about any question you want to ask? And essentially, we are talking to brands and saying, you don't really need to go to the expense of running focus groups with mums anymore. You can come and get this insight in real time from a forum where people are having really honest conversations, because it is anonymous. They are honest. I always talk about it as the opposite of social media, because on social media you are doing what people are calling stealth boasting. So you put the pictures up of your angelic kids doing amazing things. You don't put the picture up of the moment when they wouldn't get in the car seat and they threw the massive tantrum. Whereas on Mumsnet, you are talking about those, and you're talking about the mother-in-law and the neighbours who've parked in your space and everything and anything. And so it is real, honest, authentic data, and there are incredible insights within that.
But that gives you an issue, right? Because that honesty is all about human connection. I mean, I've described Mumsnet as an old school forum. I don't mean that in a dismissive sense. I mean that in the sense of it's proper conversations. It's people being honest about the kids or the mother-in-law or Keir Starmer. So you can't afford to lose that by putting AI in the middle. Again, is that fair?
All of the conversation on Mumsnet is from human beings, right? That we're absolutely clear on that. I think earlier, Sean, at the beginning of the day, I can't remember who's called Sean, who's called Tom, and who's called John, but I'm trying. Sean, at the beginning of the day, talked about human-created content making luxury, right? Our content has been created, billions of words, by hundreds of thousands of people over the years. We're basically Gucci or Chanel, if that's luxury, right? We have got the creme de la creme of human-created content on our site. There's no AI in that. All the AI does is help synthesize that information.
Are your users supportive of AI? Do they want to see AI, or do they just want to see humans?
I think they primarily come, and this is why in a world in which people are concerned about, obviously, the AI threat to search, I think Mumsnet is relatively inoculated because they're coming for human contact and human content. A big part of the reason why people come to Mumsnet is there are amazing stories on Mumsnet every single day about other people's lives. And what are human beings more interested in than anything else? Other stories from human beings. So absolutely they're there for content. And I think the other thing to say is, we take their privacy very, very seriously. And when I talk about synthesizing and using insights from this, it would always be done in a way that protected user privacy, always in an aggregated way. And I think the other part of that is, we've had a insights part of our business at Mumsnet since the very beginning, pre-AI, and that was qualitative and quantitative. And our users love to tell brands and organizations what they think because they genuinely want them to get better and make products better and understand mums and understand what mums need. And so I think they're supportive of that.
So that's a revenue piece. Fundamentally, you've got brands over here, and that could be Boots, or it could be a car manufacturer, or it could be a car seat manufacturer. Is that about sentiment analysis? Is it about regularity of mentions? What's the focus on that?
I think it's a lot of different things. It ends with giving them actionable insights. I think that's the key thing. I think you've got to, whatever it is, it could be sentiment analysis, tracking it over time. One of the things we're working on at the moment is segmentation. So, there are different types of mum at different life stages, and actually being able to, as we can, say this kind of mum thinks this about this, but it differs from this type of mum. Whatever it is, has to end in an actionable insight for a brand. That's what we hear loud and clear from them. Everybody has, I think, dashboard fatigue. There's so many now sources of data out there. So very much the focus of what we're doing is how do we take that data and turn it into something that can be used by everyone who works in these organizations to improve what they're doing.
What would an example of that be? What would be like a real live example?
A real life example of a data insight from Mumsnet. So one of the ones we love is the idea that people book their holidays in January, which has been a thing that I think people have assumed forever. Most people on Mumsnet book their holiday in July, August, or September because they've either been on a holiday and it's been so disastrous that they need to book before they can even come home from it to get over the trauma of it, or they've been somewhere and they've thought, there was a nicer place down the road, I'm going to book that for next year. The fact that the spring clean is actually done in January, straight after Christmas. One of my favorites, I don't know if people are familiar with the concept of twinning, where you dress the same as your children, and brands got really excited about it a few years ago. 2/3 of people on Mumsnet hate that trend.
I get that, 100% get that.
So they're just some. There's many, many more, but they're the ones off the top of my head.
When you're looking at ROI or you're looking at success factors, is that something that would help you do a deal? Is that something that would bring that brand back or bring the brand in the first place?
I mean, absolutely. We were, Justine and I were talking about this earlier on, actually, that there was that conversation about what is the ROI of AI. I mean, we're already seeing it in that these data insights are helping with every pitch we do and every attempt to talk to partners in agencies. We can see in our pitch conversion rate, it is going up as a result of being able to go and say, look, we are the experts on this audience. We can tell you what you can't get from elsewhere.
And is that something that you already did, but now you can do a lot quicker?
Yeah, it is basically. As I said, we've had this survey focus group part of the business before. We knew a lot about our audience from that. We've known a lot about our audience from whatever, just reading threads. But now AI, as I say, turbocharges that.
So that's an external piece, but you've also got an internal piece in terms of using AI.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, I mean, it's not dissimilar to what people have talked about all day today, really. We have, I think from a very early stage, Justine, myself, were, I think, AI evangelists, right? And we were like, actually, this is a cultural thing as much as it's a technology thing. Yeah. And actually, let's, from the very beginning, get everybody using ChatGPT. Let's get people sharing. Let's celebrate when people can use it across the company. And we are constantly doing that. We have an email that goes out every week from the CEO, from me, and it celebrates a great use of AI this week, right? So that's just one part of it. And I think moving through, so we started with ChatGPT. We then, when custom GPTs came out, amazing tools where you can take ChatGPT and almost essentially build your own app in natural language. What we did is as soon as we started to understand how to build those, we would have an all hands where people would share how they started. I think there are now over 100 in operation across Mumsnet, and we have a list of them all, and people can see how they're being used. They can see other people's prompts, and we're just constantly sharing how people are using them. Tools are being used throughout the business. I think one particular area that I don't know has come up much today so far, but how you can use AI internally to improve your management and your leadership. We use an amazing tool, I don't know if people have heard of, called Granola, which is an incredible AI transcript tool which will take notes on your meetings. And I don't know what they've done, but they seem to be able to make more sense of human language than actually some of the other transcript tools that I've seen. But what's been the real game changer with that tool over the last couple of months is they've added something called recipes, where it reads across all of your meeting notes and you can create your own recipes. So one of the things that we've been talking to the managers internally about recently is context. It's kind of a thing that I kind of realized from using AI, which is the more context you give AI, the better a result you get, right? It's the same with human beings. The more context you give somebody who you manage or who you ask to do something, the better you'll get, the better output you'll get. But because we're also focused on, can you do this task? Can you do that task? Can you just get this done? We sometimes forget as managers to give context. So we've been talking about that, and I've come up with the heuristic, context is king, and constantly repeating as you do when you're trying to achieve a kind of cultural change. But then I thought to myself, oh, actually, I could write a recipe within Granola, and you can write a recipe which says, look across my meetings from the week and tell me the times when I forgot to give context. It's a coaching tool within your organization that will basically look back on almost every word you've said, because so many of our meetings are online now, it's got pretty much all of it there, and tell you what you could have done better as a manager. We've also created a custom GPT for our appraisal process, which helps managers articulate the difference between good and excellent in each role, and then turns what the manager gives back to the GPT in terms of where the person is good or where the person is excellent into measurable objectives, basically.
Does that mean across the business you get more consistent, structured?
I think so. I think that's what it does. And, trying to encourage people to think of AI as a thought partner. I think we used to think you could solve any problem if you could talk to enough people about it. It's kind of like you don't need that as much anymore now. You can have that first conversation. It won't get it fully right. It needs to be guided by you. And I heard a podcast a few weeks ago, which I thought had this brilliant analogy, which was you've got to think of AI as an electric bike rather than a self-driving car. You can't just let it run
Yeah, I love that.
for you. Take your eyes off the wheel and play a video game or whatever. It's an electric bike that you pedal. It goes faster, but you've got to pedal, you've got to steer. And I think the more you can think of it like that and build that into your work and everyday life. And I think, what we're saying to our leaders is you've got to be using these tools. You cannot understand them unless you're making the time. They are moving so quickly that people have got to use them on a day-to-day basis to understand.
You used the phrase custom GPTs a couple of times. I find that terrifying. Where do you start with that?
You don't need to have any technical skills whatsoever. You can write them in there's a format, there's a standard format you should use, which is context, rules, write your objectives. I mean, literally, you can write them in 10 minutes. Trial and error, then roll them out to the rest of the business. The rest of the business can use them.
Well, I mean, that blows my mind. And I think the fact that you have 100 of those doing those different things talks to that idea of embracing it. We've heard all day.
Yeah.
Embrace it. Don't be scared of it. Maybe be scared of it in case it blows us all up.
Yeah.
But in terms of day-to-day, that's a really big deal.
Huge gains.
Oh, we've only got about 4 minutes left, and I'm going to take some questions. But future. What's the future for AI at Mumsnet? Or is that an open-ended question?
No, it's very exciting, I think. It's continuing the work that we're doing on building out the data products. I think there is a bit on the user side. I think, we are thinking about what it means for discovery on Mumsnet. So there are possibilities around AI answers. So like Reddit answers, Mumsnet answers, something like that. We want to lean into the fact that we are trusted. We have this incredible corpus of amazing information and advice that's been given by mums, by parents, for parents over all the years, and actually making that really easy to access for people, improving AI, improving our site search with it, improving how we tag our content and make it so that people personalize and find more of what they want. There's a whole piece to do around that, whole piece on data products, as I've talked about, and then more on the internal side of things, getting, as people have talked about all day, not just more efficient as an organization, but better at what we do on a day-to-day.
What I love talking to you is how excited you are as the chief executive about it.
Very excited.
Because so often, that leadership piece we've seen again and again today is so important. But talking to you, it's like a personal thing, right?
I'm kind of getting bored with myself. Literally every week, I will do something with AI where I'm like, this is amazing. And then I'm like, hang on, I thought that last week and the week before. Why am I still amazed by this? It's incredible. But I think I was saying to you earlier, I've been in the workplace for, 25 years. Over that time, not much changed. And then some stuff did change, but you kind of had to manage people, and you did this and you did that. I feel like AI has just changed everything, and I think that is really exciting.
Great. Well, mate, continue. Questions? Do we have any questions? John?
In a session I was in earlier, we were talking about terms of service and how that's a simple way to protect your IP. I was wondering, you seem to have the terms of service thing sorted out quite a long time ago. How much did that strengthen your case against OpenAI?
I think the answer here would be we did, but not early enough. They did scrape us. We obviously started the case. Justine took the case against them. Interestingly, they did not deny that they had scraped us, but it was pretty clear it was going to bog us down. And we're a very small publisher, and having the kind of means to actually take them on would have been impossible. So we have temporarily paused the case for now. But yes, certainly we did recognise the threat quite early on, but not early enough.
Is there a way forward on that?
It's what we've been discussing today. I think it's trying to work together. Yep. And Justine's been in lobbying ministers for a long time and talking to them about the fact that we need government to take action on this, and we need to band together as an ecosystem to make the case that, as John said earlier, this is stealing.
Yeah. I've got one last question. What would you love to be able to do with AI that you haven't quite done yet?
Oh, goodness. Well, one of the things that today has prompted is better forecasting, I think. I think that's something we're going to go and look at when we get back in the office tomorrow and see if we can do better forecasting. I think the idea of doing that from sales conversations and everything else is a really great idea. So I've had loads of ideas from today. It's been brilliant. So
excellent. Great place to end. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening, and to Sue for joining us at the AI Forum. We've got more exciting events coming up this year, from the Monetising B2B Forum in May, get your ticket now at flashesanflames.com, to our July newsletter and podcast summits and awards, and a return to the AI Forum next November. Remember, if you want to read our key takeaways article on this interview or sign up to our newsletter, you can find both at voices.media.